Good afternoon, mi gente. Good afternoon, familia. So good to have you here joining us today at Meet Me at the Metaverse. We are so thrilled to have this opportunity, to have this way of meeting you wherever you are at. Meet Me at the Metaverse was developed and created as a virtual way. We know that when the pandemic hit, everyone went virtual. And we have sort of tried to do some things online, in live, and then online. But as a business owner, we realize that you are busy, but you also want to grow. So we are providing this opportunity, this platform to be able to bring you different experts, different information in English, Espanol, English, and Spanish from different industries. So I hope that you have enjoyed them. I want to invite you all to make sure that after, not right now, but after this session is over, I'll invite you to go to the auditorium. We have over 90 Hispanic owned virtual stands. We are so grateful to Eveland that provided those virtual stands free of cost to our Hispanic Business Center businesses for celebrating Small Business Month. So thank you so much to the Eveland team for providing this platform and providing the virtual stands. Well, all right. I wanted to give people a few minutes to join in. I know that we have a few people joining in. I want to also invite you to join the chat and write your name, the name of your business or the company that you're joining us, and a way that we can contact you. And also, if you have any questions for our speaker today, make sure that you add them there. And it's also a great way to connect with other people that are joining us. And also want to welcome those that are watching us on YouTube Live. Thank you for being here with us. Also want to invite you to come and join us. Meet us at the Metaverse. It is free of cost. There's a link there so you can also join us over here. Well, all right. I won't take any more time. I want to introduce you to our special guest that we have today. Tenemos a un dominicano. We have Carlos Cueto, who is Senior Manager of Visibility Experience Strategy on the Digital Commerce and Experience team at UPS. He has been leading projects to optimize delivery experience through technology enhancements to customer digital and physical systems and applications. He is the man. Thank you so much, Carlos, for joining us today. I know that you are excited, and I know that you have some amazing information for our small businesses. Thank you again for joining us. Bienvenido.
Thank you, Norma. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. I felt the energy, Norma, not only your energy, but also the energy of the audience participating here. So I want to take a moment to just acknowledge and appreciate everyone that's taking easy. So as Norma briefly alluded to, we'll have an opportunity today to go into depth into the world of e-commerce. As we know, e-commerce has really transformed in a variety of ways, the way that we interact with products and services. So this will be a really good tool to provide a deeper understanding into e-commerce and even more specifically into a couple of key components associated with e-commerce, right? The world of e-commerce is really, really broad. It encompasses elements from sourcing raw materials and supplies to power your products and services, choosing a product line, choosing your placement, promotional channels, right? So all of those elements, all the way till the way in which it's delivered to your customers. So this time we want to focus more precisely on a couple of elements associated with digital marketing. So as I briefly alluded to, digital marketing is a core component of an e-commerce platform or an e-commerce product offering. It provides really the tool to unlock growth and build relationships with your users or customers. So, within the array of elements in digital marketing, we find multiple components interacting and interplaying within one another, right? We see the element of paid ads, so leveraging the different search engines and also social media platforms to ensure that there's a component there of ads and that you're relevant with actionable ads across those platforms, given the high foot traffic and usage that they have, right? Also, in conjunction with social media advertising, the elements around website landing pages and the creation of your online presence through your website and URLs is also very important. The activity around email campaigns as a way to nurture those relationships and activate the engagement with your customers or targeted customers, right? It could be even your prospects, is also very important. And then elements associated to search engine optimization, which is really the topic that we're going to focus on in detail today, responding to a lot of testimonials about how can I be more relevant? How can I elevate my brand organically on the side? How can I make it more, relevant and prevalent to ensure that I can capture new eyeballs across the different search engines and applications, right? So we'll be very focal into talking about how search engine is instrumental in the success of any e-commerce tool, right? And also the role of online reviews as building trust and authority in not only your URL, but also across your product line and offerings as well. So that's just a glimpse of what's to come. The search engine optimization fundamentals training I'll walk through today is about a 3-hour long session. So I've been very selective into the topics that I want to make sure that are touched on today and that also are very practical. That way you can drive change in your business as soon as we end the session today. So we'll focus today mainly on two things: the why SEO and the what is SEO, because there's different misconceptions as it pertains to what is in scope as part of search engine optimization, and it's really good to understand that what and also understand the why it's important. The second 2/3 of the session really go in depth into the how, with a couple of more tangible, granular tools to implement. And I'm happy to, go more in depth if you want to keep my information and follow up on how to implement these practices. I'm more than happy to go over those as well. But the main three elements we're going to cover today is the why SEO, understanding the SEO mindset, which is really, really embedded into a deeper connection with your customers, end to end. What do they need to do? What do we want them to learn? What we want them to purchase, right? What are the call to actions that we want them to click when they're on our site, right? Understanding that mentality is going to be important. So I'm super excited to go in depth on those. And then also understanding the different journeys, right? People interact in different websites and URLs, right? With multiple journeys and objectives in mind. It could be at some point that you just want to seek information. At one point, you want to buy a product, right? At one point, you want to fill out a form. So there's very different elements there that come to play, and that needs to be very embedded. And also, even just as important, also the ways in which we measure each of those elements as well. Perfect. So why is SEO important? That's our first section. So the main two areas of the why SEO is important is for online visibility and online traffic. If I was to summarize this slide, those will be my main 2 points. So in terms of visibility, what do you mean by visibility, Carlos? So search engine optimization enables you to build brand awareness. Brand awareness is absolutely an imperative at any point in your journey as a business owner or key decision maker. If there's no brand awareness, there's no consideration to your offerings or services. So you really need to embed well. So in terms of the brand awareness, the online visibility, as I mentioned, You also need to be very, very particular about the where you play and understanding the reach, right? How can you become the top of mind either in your product line or your industry for the customers that we're targeting, right? So brand awareness, huge, huge pivotal point there. Customer acquisition on any strategy for growth, which I would assume it doesn't matter what stage you are, if you're just getting started, if you're a mature business, if you're very well established, you should have a mentality for growth, right? And growth comes through new customer acquisitions. It needs to go beyond the retention play. So the SEO is really instrumental in driving new customer acquisition. It provides the visibility that we just alluded to. It optimizes the website for search engines as well. So making sure that your different products and services come together very, very nicely together and craft that story of your offering, which is extremely important, right? And it's also your eyes. It's oftentimes it's the very first impression that someone has on your brand, on your company, right? So you want to make sure that it speaks to the relevant customers that you want to target. So very important customer acquisition component there. Competitive advantage. And competitive advantage, the keyword there is differentiation. If this is done well, it helps you stand out, which is going to make you more relevant, right, across your other competitors as well that may not be doing it as well or not be as intentional as you are with search engine. It gives you that ability to differentiate and stand out from your competition. It's also allowed cost-effective marketing, right? Because we mentioned that a big arm of digital marketing is paid ads through the different, systems, applications, the search engines, right? But this provides the ability to rank highly in an organic manner. So you wouldn't need to necessarily pay sponsorships or pay fees to rank high in those searches if you get to do this well and your results rank highly organically as well. And then the fifth point, this one is very, very important, and we're going to spend quality time discussing it a little bit more in depth. And it's this idea of trust and credibility. It's very important, right? It builds a credibility, it builds authority as well. When your website is ranked high in the search results, it makes users feel like it's a very reliable and credible source that they're getting information or buying a particular product from. Excellent. So we'll go into some stats here that touch on why SEO is important. So we'll start. That's the slide. Perfect. So we mentioned the importance of being high in the search result, right? The search engine result pages. You need to be relevant. You need to be on the top. And I'll share a couple of slides that explain why, right? And there's an interesting analogy there. In the industry of search engine optimization professionals, there's a really cool phrase that says that the best place to hide a secret is the second page of a search engine page. Isn't that funny? So that is the best place. If you want your product or your offering to be captured, it needs to be on the first page at least. And this couple of data points will really go in depth into the why of that. So 63% of clicks go to the top 3 search results. Just put that in context for a moment. Almost 2/3 of all clicks go to the top 3 search results. 92% of clicks happen on the first page of Google. So just continue contextualizing that. The very few people that go to page 2 and beyond, right? 3/4 of users never scroll past the 10th search result. So this is not only clicking, team, here. We're talking about scrolling. So even having exposure to it, that doesn't even imply clicking, which is even more remarkable, right? 70% of clicks are organic search results. So this explains the high preference from us as users to the organic results, not those that show the label paid or sponsored as well. And the data reflects it. And then 53% of all website traffic originates from search, which it reinforces again the importance of search engine optimization, right? So this has been a really good connectivity to that why. We understand the data, we know the reasons, and we now know the benefits. So the good overview of why search engine optimization is also important, but even more than that, it's gonna go in depth into the three main areas associated to search engine optimization. There's many misconceptions on this. When people think that they know about search engine, they usually just think about the category in green, which is the part of offsite SEO, building trust and authority, and backlinking things that connect to your website. It goes so far beyond that, and we'll go in depth into each of these. So technical SEO is the optimization of the website infrastructure. The best analogy to help put this in context, think about your process to build a house. In the process of building a house, you have to set a really strong foundation, right? In which the house is going to be built upon, right? Think about this as the technical SEO component. So here's an array of elements that we're going to go through in depth in the upcoming slides that range all the way from the architecture and structure of your site, all the way to the interconnectivity between the internal links that you make available and also how they interplay with one another, right? So that's the foundation of the structure, right? Of that body. So when you think about content SEO, it's creating and optimizing valuable content for your users. Here you need to be very, very user centric as well. From a content creation, what are the keywords that you incorporate? What's the metadata, right? So that the data that provides your users with an understanding of the different elements that you are incorporating as part of your website as well. And also the internal linking components related to optimizing content, right? So in that analogy of the house, this is the construction of the house, right? What are the features that you put in the house? Your windows, your doors, your walls, your interiors, right? That is the house itself, that piece on content SEO. And then offsite search engine optimization. This one's also really important, which is the part of building trust and authority, right? So you build the foundation of your home, you build the home with your preferences, right? Your interior, exterior preferences. And now you need to make sure that you connected to your community and your neighborhood, right? So that's really offsite SEO, is building that trust and credibility across your neighborhood and across your community. And we're gonna get an opportunity to go in depth into the elements that also make up for offsite SEO. So excellent. Going into the technical piece of SEO, and this is the one that, depending on your level of experience or exposure, may bring a little bit more friction to a particular business owner, just because of that exposure. It bring to technical elements and functionality, also some systems and applications work. People may fear it a little bit, but there's definitely a couple of practical elements here to, if you're not the one implementing the work and you're leveraging a resource either within your team or someone externally, this is a really good reference to keep handy as checkpoints, right? These are things that you need to check as you're building that foundation, as we alluded to. So in terms of technical SEO and user journey, search engine crawling and indexing, that is extremely important. Crawling refers to a process that search engine companies, in this case, and search engine tools go through, really kind of scanning. Think about the crawling as a scanning process in which they ensure that you as a developer or as a business owner have been able to establish the right structure in place for your tools as part of the website, right? Indexing is a subsequent process to crawling that talks about the categorization of those resources and how that structure is looking coming together, which actually the graph on the right provides a really good reference there. Website speed, that's extremely important as well. Website speed not only helps the technical aspect and the ability of the search engines to read the quality of your content, but it also becomes extremely fundamental in your user experience, because as users in 21st century, we are not comfortable with things moving slow. So website speed impacts user experience extensively. Mobile friendliness, also an important pillar of the technical SEO drivers. The mobile friendliness is the basis of mobile friendliness is catering from the get-go to know that your users are going to engage with your website leveraging their mobile devices. This is very important because the experiences on a desktop, on a laptop, are different than those in mobile, and you need to make sure that your website caters accordingly. Over time, more and more actions, more and more behaviors of your users, either at the gathering information level, at the point of consideration, point of transaction, point of support, no matter what piece of the journey your users are, they're gonna want to engage in a user-friendly way through their mobile devices. So it's very important to embed from the get-go. Security, absolutely important. If your users don't feel comfortable and they feel any sense that their data or payment information or any other PII, personal information, is being compromised, they're not going to engage on your site. They're not going to click, they're not going to join, and that's going to have a detrimental effect in your ability to convert and drive the behavior and actions that you want. And then structure data. Once all of these pieces are completed, the structured data and schema markup really refers to kind of a taxonomy. Think about it as a categorization of all of the elements that we just went through, and kind of a tracking and inventory that all of those things have been put in place, and that appearance and that structure is in the best possible shape to make your content relevant on your website. Excellent. Perfect. So we can now SEO and the user journey. More particular, so that will be the middle bucket of what we went over. And 5 pillars here, again, very, very, very remarkable and important to account for. Understanding the user intent. I alluded to it at the beginning. Really good time to repeat it. You have to start with a customer-centric mentality, right? What do they want to accomplish on my site, right? That's what that first point alludes to there. Optimize content. Also very, very important to establish the right user guides and also the specifics services as part of your results. The quality and readability of your content. This goes beyond just a pure use of words to that flow and logic way to follow for the user to follow the information that you're making available to them. It goes far beyond just words, right? It needs to be in a logic manner. That information needs to follow a particular sequence and fluidity to make it easier for your user to understand and navigate, which connects to the fourth point, right? Navigational ease. How are your links connecting with one another? You know, when you have when you prompt a user for a click or a call to action on a particular tab, hey, how does that take them to that next piece? You know, is that description good? Was it fluid, right? Sometimes we need to, the best practical advice on this part is to remove our hat as subject matter experts. Sometimes, and actually me representing, UPS, which is a huge organization, 220 countries, 542,000 employees worldwide, right? Just think about it for a moment. Sometimes we, as content creators and experience strategies, sometimes we incorporate a lot of our learnings, a lot of our knowledge about our products and services, and we think that our audience is going to start from the same point that we start with all the learnings, all the knowledge we have about what we offer, right? And that is not the case. You have to meet your audience where they are. You're gonna have users that are going to engage not only with your company and your website, but even with content related to your industry for the first time. And you might also find others that are subject matter experts and have a track record experience engaging. So you need to make sure you think about navigational use in the context of user as well, and to build that meaningful connection, right? And all of those are tactics to help build that meaningful connection and drive in the end the two most important elements of it, right? Engagement, and then converting those customers from users into loyal customers and advocates of your product or service, right? So it's that flow all the way from visitors on your side to becoming users, right? Maybe a little bit more regular, then becoming customers, right? And then advocates, right? That they can advocate and they chime in the online reviews and share how their experience is being improved after interacting with your offer or service. So why is search engine optimization important, right? And search engine optimization is definitely, I mean, and the impact of user journey. So this is bucket number 3, that green part of offsite SEO that we briefly touched on. So a couple of learnings here. Link building, very, very important element of offsite SEO. This helps building the authority, trust, relevance, and credibility to your site. So link building connects to where, if there's other trustworthy brands or trustworthy sites, are they incorporating some of our links? Do they help redirect traffic into my content? The more that we get to do those external links, and they reroute users into our content, into our landing page, that refers to link building. That's very important. Social media engagement, kind of an extension of link building, but leveraging the social media sites, which we know they're huge level of engagement and traffic from a number of users standpoint. Brand mentions as well. So if you want to associate your website to a particular brand or a particular target segment, the different brand manifestations of brand mentions become extremely important to guide users towards your services or towards your products as well. The different influence on user journey, right? Also instrumental in driving offsite SEO, and then everything coming together, helping build that holistic search engine optimization strategy, right? Complementing the technical and content focused search engine optimization, it's absolutely instrumental in shaping how the user journey is improved when search engine optimization is taken on seriously. Perfect. That's awesome. Very good, good, good. And I know we're probably about halfway through at the moment. So I just want to take another second to thank everyone for joining. And I know there's attendees both domestically across the U.S., also internationally, hundreds of users across the different channels that we're having the session today. So absolutely ecstatic about that opportunity. So we learned why SEO is important, right? And now we're going to shift a little bit to the what type of mindset do I need when I think about search engine optimization, right? How you think, what are some of the mindset guidelines? The very first core, as I mentioned on slide 3, is to focus on your user. You need to think about it as a story. What's my user thinking through? What is their tone, what's their mood when they're engaging with my content, based on the type of product or service that I offer, right? Put yourself in the shoes and wear the hat of your audience at all times. It only pays good dividends. It's very important. And think about it end to end, from the point in which you're trying to build the awareness and they just start remotely thinking about that need, all the way till that the transaction's completed, you've converted that customer with the call to action, right? Until you need to provide that support. Focus on the user centricity, customer first. Very important pillar of your strategy here. The SEO mindset, right? We're going to go a little bit more in detail into how to become very focused into your SEO pillar, becoming user centric, right? So, understanding the needs and interests, very important. And I just briefly alluded to it. Prioritize your target audience. So, you need to define who does your customer looks like, and you need to build that story and experience on your content tied to how that profile of your user looks, right? Why does this page even exist? That's a foundational question to ask yourself, even before or in the process as you're developing, your website and your online presence. What is it trying to solve for? How is it going to help my users? All of those are adjacent questions that help craft and incorporate key elements as part of the journey, right? Creating relevant and helpful content, absolutely an imperative. The content needs to be relevant. We know how fearful some of our industries and product lines are. So, in order to stand out and be relevant, you need to create content that's helpful to the user and that helps them solve their problem. If they want to, either buy something, make it easy. If they want to learn something, make it clear and simple. So make sure it's helpful content to the user as well, and educational is an important criteria there. Directing user actions. You have, and this requires a little bit of the marketing centricity coming to play here, but along the journey of creating your different touch points, you also have a great opportunity to direct your users to certain actions. In marketing, we call them nudges. So you plant different seeds in different intersection points and different touch points of your journey to make sure that they interact with the content that you want relevant at that point, right? To drive the desired action that you as a content developer or creator would like to drive. So it's very important to becoming an architect of how you're going to be crafting the actions of your users as well. Enhance their user experience. We touched on it earlier. Very important with the combination of the three elements that we mentioned earlier as well. Driving organic traffic and user engagement. Very important. We touched on the point around credibility and the importance to bring to your site that organic engagement as well. And also from going through it and through paid features as well. Much cost effective as well. Adopting a user-centric approach. Extremely instrumental here as well. And all of the points that we covered above really come together into catering that user centricity there and the value that it brings to your site as well. So we cover why SEO is important, what is the SEO mindset, and what it entails, right? What are some of those key elements that I need to keep in mind? What are those questions that I need to ask, right? What's the criteria I need to account for to make sure I become a best in class, which is what we want in our particular product line or industry, right? At this point, we're going to shift a little bit to talk about the understanding of user journey from the different search engines, right? And some of those metrics, how those metrics look like, and how you can become a best-in-class provider of this experience. End to end, from journey search to conversion, how those different buckets and stages, how do they look like? Walk through it in how, Carlos, help me picture it as a process. How can I think about all of these different categories? We're going to touch on that in a moment. Also, the user intent, right? We talked about it on slide 6. It's really focusing on the objective of the user. What's their goal? How can I help my user accomplish their goal in the best possible manner, right? And then analyzing the behavior. At this point, we're gonna touch a little bit more in depth into the analytics and how to put in metrics around them to understand the performance, right? Very important. Excellent. Perfect. So the understanding of the user journey. Most experts in the arena would categorize it in these three. I often argue, and I add a four, and I'll explain why. So the main categorization here is between the awareness stage, consideration stage, and conversion stage. And the last bullet point on each focuses on your goal. We'll start with the awareness stage. So in this phase, your users actively seek information and explore options. At this point, they're open to whatever becomes appealing. They put broad search terms on the search engine just to gather knowledge and see how that first piece of building awareness looks like. Your goal as a content creator or business owner, at least to keep in mind, is that at this stage you want to capture attention and provide valuable, concise content, which is an important keyword I should have added there. Concise, because we want to get their attention quickly. There's a lot of noise. We live in the era of noise, so you want to make sure you're relevant and that you capture that attention quickly. The second stage is consideration. At this point, users think about this phase as the phase to filter. Users have already filtered a couple of options. They become a little bit more specific into what they're looking for, right? The type of information, the type of product or service, and they're looking now to solutions and evaluating their criteria for selection within the providers they've come through. So in this phase, you delight your users by demonstrating expertise, by showing credibility, right? Going back to that point around authority and trustworthiness, and also demonstrating your unique value proposition, which responds to your why. Why should I engage? Why should I connect? Or why should I buy from you, right? That's what the value proposition as a differentiator comes to play. That should be your goal. And then the conversion stage, right? And at this phase, your users are ready to take action. They've already made their selection, right? They did their search, they filter, right? And they have already committed to a selection. So your goal in this phase is to provide a clear call to action and make the process streamlined and simple to ensure that that conversion takes place smoothly, right? They've already committed. They no longer have a lot of noise. At this phase, they're committed. So you want to make sure that happens with simplicity and ease. That's the goal there. I add a fourth. As part of my own personal criteria, we live in the era as well of providing support and delighting your customers with support, right? The conversion is not the end stage. After that, you should follow with also a support stage in which your user have also the availability, maybe to check in either through an online chat or tool, a phone number, that ability to learn more and provide an additional layer of support if it's not implicitly provided as part of your different pages, right? The support will be my fourth pillar, the Carlos pillar there. Excellent. uh, in order to create content that meets your customer needs, right? We talked about user search intent. And contextualize this as a process, right? And we're gonna go kind of in that flow organically as we cover these 4 points. So user search intent responds to the why. Why? What are they trying to accomplish here? And at a broad level, There's some categorization here you see on the first bullet point, between informational. Are they just wanting to extract information? Is my goal here to just inform, right? Navigational. Is it transactional? Are they buying something? Or, is it a purpose for investigation? Those questions need to be answered from the get-go, right? Because it's part of that foundation that we alluded to in the first section. And align content, of course, as a second step to be relevant and to respond to those intents, and becoming the valuable information that your users prioritize and engage with. Creating relevant content. We will tailor content here to address user intent and provide answers and solutions, right? So once you understand the why they're there, you need to ensure that you create relevant content and optimize it to respond to those questions and to those intents, right? You have to match your keywords. I use a tactic that's called mirroring, in which you should leverage the different headings, subheadings, and keywords that are typical from the usual search associated to your product line or industry, and you could incorporate those as part of your descriptions in order to make that content relevant and respond to your users. Targeting long tail keywords, that's also an important instrument here as we prioritize that journey mapping and experience, right? We alluded to on the second section as well. But in this point, it's really on understanding the tactics to attract qualified traffic and meet their user needs, right? So you need to focus on the macro view and how you attract your users, right? Think about it as your foot traffic. If you're more used to speak in terms of retail terms, right? Your foot traffic. And then once you get a sizable foot traffic, how do you keep them engaged so they can keep coming back? And even more so, telling others that they've had a phenomenal experience with you, and advocate for your growth as well through their different network. And then the optimization of user experience as well. Again, I will re-emphasize the point of becoming a very readable, well-structured, and visually appealing. The optics of the design are very important. Search engine optimization not only pay attention to the infrastructure and the credibility and the elements that we talked as part of that base of the technical SEO. There's also a visual component, and becoming visually appealing, both for the purpose of the search engine and also for the better interaction of your users as well. And then mobile friendliness. We briefly touched on it at the beginning. Definitely important to re-emphasize as more and more tasks happen in mobile. You need to start with a mobile-centric mentality as well and account for your users to have a fluid experience when they engage with your content through their mobile devices, either mobile web or mobile app. It needs to cater accordingly to your users via mobile devices. Excellent. And we're getting close to the end here. I know everyone has been super excited. I'm getting even questions here on my mobile phone relating comments. That's great. I love it. I love it. But so in the same line of thinking, to understand the user journey, and analyzing the user behavior on the website as we improve user experience, I love this section here, because in this particular part, you're going to get to learn a little bit more, or refresh on some of the key concepts, and associated to metrics. And if we don't measure it, we can manage it. It's a code. It's very important to keep in mind, and you need to understand your measurements, right? For both to set your target and set your goals, also to understand your gaps. Where are you doing well? Where are you not doing so well? I need to invest a little bit more time and resources. This is very, very important. So think about this as 5 key areas to account for, as key, if I will, they grade the ability in which you're developing your effectiveness in search engine, right? So, number one would be the organic rankings. That's very easy. We know what the main search engines are, right? I mean, 90 plus percent of US users leverage Google, and even worldwide, Google continues to be a leader. So it's very easy to cross check how you're ranking on Google, also the progress you make. Hey, I started on page three, no one was seeing me, but hey, over time, with these practical tools that Carlos has helped me through and that I've been learning more about, I'm now on page one. I'm at the bottom of page one, but I'm making progress, right? And my goal is to be on that top three, where I learned that over 70% of people click. So organic rankings, extremely, extremely important. So you need to strive for those top positions in the search engine results pages. Click-through rates. And so this will be a little bit more granular, but this is very important as well. So on click-through rate, is the best proxy for engagement. And this is a good understanding if your initial information or initial reaction of your users is driving enough interest for them to want to learn more about what you're offering, right? So that click through rate is very important. It's purely a percentage of the users that are clicking your content on the search results. And the denominator of that fraction will be the total number of users who had visibility, who had optics on your content. So click through rate, it's an important metrics. You can play with it. In strategy, we conduct a lot of A/B testing in the space of digital marketing. So you could do subtle tweaks to your, your titles, your descriptions, right? Some of the body, some of the color as well, if we're applicable. You would with minor tweaks like that, you can measure and do kind of a variable in testing and then a control variable and better understand how the performance is for one versus the other and help you conduct those optimizations in a more structured and systematically manner as well. User engagement metrics, also this one varies. It depends on what your intent is on your website. It's usually a healthy balance between the transactional element and also the informational element, depending on what your offer, your type of service, product, or feature that you have your website for. That what good looks like will vary here, but some of the main metrics, and you can tailor it to what good would look like as part of your industry, would be time on page. So that's a really important proxy, right? In the 21st century, companies and providers are competing on time. There's so much information that makes the competition rely on time, and time on page is an important element there. Bounce rate, this one's crucial. Bounce rate explains, if the customers click and they access your content, they like did that found what they needed immediately and they left. The bounce rate is also a metric based on a percentage, and it's a very important metric as well to account for. And scroll depth as well, which connects to the layout and how that structure of your content is illustrated in the optics of your user feedback. I also find it very important. I know on slide number 2 in the first section, we covered the role of online reviews, right? So maybe not with the formality, you won't get as many online reviews. Think about the Google reviews, Yelp reviews, focus on your website itself, but you can certainly implement a couple of mini surveys or send follow-ups to the users that have interacted with your experience to share more about how they felt after engaging with your content and what you were catering, right? This is good to be very proactive doing it. It's a really, really great tool to make improvements on your experience, responding to the user feedback. At UPS, we call it the voice of the customer, and we have a variety of channels from which we source information um, from our customers. Think about customer care representative lines. Think about some of those traditional online review tools and platforms, some of the examples I just mentioned. Think about other partner companies that specialize in gathering feedback from users as well and funnel that information to us. So we become the ears of the company and the sensors, more generic even, to better understand at a granular level what are customers feeling. What are those things that they're endorsing, what are the elements and touch points in which you're finding friction and challenges, and it helps us course correct effectively and in a very efficient manner. And then conversion rate. This is particularly instrumental if you're trying to drive conversion. So if you want to ensure that people submit leads, that people transact and actually buy a product or service on your site, right? To fill out a form for you to follow up of any shape or form, that would be your core conversion. What's that ultimate goal that you're trying to drive? What's that behavior? That it becomes your conversion rate, your conversion at that point. So your conversion rate would really be, again, a fraction um, of the percentage of users that are taking that desired action, and the denominator of that being the total number of users who were exposed to that action, right? And then the numerator becoming that number that ended up taking the action. So uh, it's absolutely crucial to build that effectiveness and having these measurements in place for a successful implementation of your search engine optimization as well. So that's all I had time to share today. I hope this has been an informational and practical tool in this era of digitalization. It's an imperative to stand out, to have the right brand in both your physical and digital channels. And search engine optimization is an important element to account for as you embark your journey to build your digital presence, right? We touched on some of those key elements, the why it's important. So I'm sure everyone's clear why it's important today, what it takes to build a successful search engine optimization process, and then also what is the mindset that I need to approach the process to. We touched briefly on some of the hows and some tactical elements that you could run with it right after the call. And there's a lot more depth as well, that I would be happy to cover more in detail if anyone's interested. But here's my QR code. I'm happy to connect with anyone that's interested on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me directly. And yeah, Norma, back to you.
Carlos, that was amazing. That was such amazing information. I was looking at the chat, and there was one comment that said, "Wow, I see UPS is more than just a transportation provider." I was like, absolutely. I'm so glad that you were able to share such valuable information that sometimes it's scary. You see SEO, ¿y qué es eso? ¿Con qué se
Mhm.
come? Right? So thank you so much for providing it in a
Absolutely.
way that is understanding, but it's also a way that they can, as you said, that they can make some of those changes right now. Once we get off of this webinar, they can make some of those changes and start seeing some improvement in their websites and their
Yeah,
content. So
yeah.
thank you for that.
Absolutely, Norma. I want to echo that. And yeah, yeah, UPS, back to that comment, goes far, far beyond logistics. UPS becomes a partner to our SMBs and really businesses of all sizes. It's really a partner of choice. We have a lot of this functionality, feature, and technology that we make available to those partners that we establish a relationship with, and we are absolutely excited to be a catalyst for the growth of the community, right, of the business community. And yeah, I'm glad it was digestible bites, as I call it, of that information. Couple of key learnings there to reinforce some to those that had a baseline already, and then also that they could drive action immediately, right? And also to your third point, appreciating again everyone who had the opportunity to join us. I see part of the audience even internationally. I see audience from the Caribbean, Dominican Republic, Colombia, Chile, all across the US, even Europe. I've even received report of some audiences. So it's absolutely excited, and hope that this was helpful to everyone.
I have one question here. Someone wants to know, how are you using AI to help you with SEO?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So the AI topic has become, I would say, a lot more relevant over the past 6 months. There's definitely certain functional units that are leveraging more within UPS. Marketing strategy is definitely one that's leaning into the use of AI. As it pertains to the use in well, as part of search engine, there is an expectation as a macro trend that search engines are going to be heavily impacted as they are today by the role of AI, right? AI by itself and the open AI technology, chat GPT, what we're engaging, a lot today and learning more, has its own search engine optimizations. And even though they haven't made it necessarily publicly open, because they on how to spin down in ChatGPT, because they're really a language learning model, and I can spend hours talking about that because it's a topic I've been super in depth over the past few months. But as a language learning model, they're already scraping information that has been made available on the different search engines across the past 7 years. So they might develop ways in which, through the use of tools like ChatGPT, you're gonna get to further optimize and become more relevant. But for now, the work on search engine continues to be where the majority of the users really go to tap information on that. It's getting a little bit cluttered over time because um, the search engine, the big tech companies that power the search engines, have prioritized a lot of their ads programs and a lot of their paid content at the expense of the organic search results. And
Mhm.
that has provided an opportunity to OpenAI, ChatGPT like functionality to step in and find an opportunity there to disrupt that market. But Norma, that would take a complete separate session.
Wow. We definitely need to schedule a session on that. That sounds very relevant to our business owners and to many other people or different organizations. So definitely to schedule that for later. Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you for your energy, for your expertise. We greatly appreciate you. We will be reaching out. And if you have any questions, please let us know and we will pass them on to Carlos. And have a wonderful rest of this day. If you didn't get to watch it from the beginning, just know that you can click on previous events and you can watch it from the beginning. And make sure that you share this knowledge with other people, because we know that knowledge is power. Thank you so much. Que pasen un buen resto del día. Thank you, Carlos.
Gracias, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.